The Allen Line Company appreciates all of the dedicated carriers it takes to move loads across the U.S. Stay safe.
OOIDA, representing America's truckers since 1973, presents Landline Now with your host, Mark Redding.
The unified regulatory agenda doesn't sound too exciting until you realize that it tells you when federal agencies plan to act on topics such as speed limiters, automatic emergency braking, and broker transparency. OOIDA's Jay Grimes explains. The St. Christopher's Fund has helped thousands of truckers and their families. We speak with two members of the Driver Council who represent the fund and talk about why it's such a vital organization. And finally, some large carriers who have commercial learner's permit holders in a truck with a trainer don't want that trainer in the jump seat, and FMCSA has said, go ahead. Marty Ellis has a few thoughts on the topic. I'll talk with the man who drives the spirit of the American trucker. But first, the news with Scott Thompson.
Thanks, Mark. Our top story today. The House Appropriations Committee has advanced a bill that includes a provision to stop the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration from mandating speed limiters on heavy-duty trucks. The bill, which proposes spending limits and restrictions on the Department of Transportation, now advances to the House floor. During Wednesday's markup hearing, an amendment to remove the speed limiter provision was defeated. That means that efforts to stop a speed limiter mandate will remain in the bill that now goes to the House floor. It also contains several other provisions of interest to truckers. The bill seeks to allocate $200 million for truck parking projects and prohibit the enforcement of the electronic logging device mandate on agricultural haulers. There's also language that would ban FMCSA from altering meal or rest break preemption waivers, prohibit driver-facing cameras being used in an under-21 pilot program, and prohibit congestion pricing in the New York City metropolitan area. We could know more about the USDOT's plans for hair testing sometime this fall. In its spring 2024 Unified Regulatory Agenda, the department indicated it plans to issue a supplemental notice of proposed rulemaking on hair testing in October. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services in 2020 released a notice of proposed rulemaking that would establish hair testing guidelines for federal workplace drug testing programs. Hair testing would be done for pre-employment screening and random testing. The Owner-Operator Independent Drivers Association opposes the move, citing a number of concerns. OOIDA questions the reliability of hair testing because of contamination from the environment and the interference of cosmetic treatments. The association adds that variances in hair types can create issues when it comes to testing as well. Hair testing isn't the only change being considered right now. In May of last year, the USDOT announced changes that would allow for the inclusion of oral fluid testing. The changes were to take effect 30 days after the final rule was published, with Health and Human Services required to certify laboratories to conduct oral fluid testing. But as of right now, there are no laboratories certified to do that. Cargo theft incidents continue to rise nationwide on a year-to-year basis. Verus CargoNet recorded 771 cargo theft incidents in the second quarter of 2024, a 33% increase compared to the same period a year earlier. However, theft activity actually decreased by 10% from the all-time high set in the first quarter of this year. An estimated $68.5 million in freight was stolen in Q2 in the U.S. and Canada, with an average shipment value of $150,000. Compared to the first quarter of 2024, CargoNet noted significant growth in the targeting of vitamins and supplements, alcoholic beverages, and over-the-counter skincare products. Theft activity was highest in California, Texas, and Illinois, with the three states representing 57% of all cargo theft over that three-month period. The Energy Information Administration expects the average diesel price nationwide to increase as the year goes on. In the agency's most recent short-term energy outlook, a $3.84 average was forecast through September, rising to $3.90 in the fourth quarter. The price of Brent crude oil is also expected to increase to $89 a barrel in the second half of this year, before averaging $91 a barrel in the first quarter of 2025. In the first half of this year, the average price per barrel was $84. That increase largely comes from EIA's forecast of declining global crude oil supplies, along with declines in global oil production and an increase in global consumption of liquid fuels. An emergency declaration resulting from the March 26 collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge has been extended once again. This time, it's a short-term extension running through Monday, July 15th. The order gives drivers providing direct assistance to the area an exemption from hours of service rules. That includes those transporting supplies and equipment and removing wreckage and debris. A trucker is being credited with saving the life of a baby in Louisiana. The Calcasieu Parish Sheriff's Office says it happened Tuesday morning when the unidentified truck driver was traveling along Interstate 10 in Lake Charles. They spotted the 1-year-old child in a ditch as they were passing by and called authorities. During a news conference, Calcasieu Sheriff Stitch Guillory said the child had been missing for 2 days, enduring severe weather related to Hurricane Beryl as it made landfall in Texas.
And we looked at this 1-year-old as our miracle baby because he was still alive. Unbelievable. This kid spent 2 days out in the weather on the side of the highway. Thank God that trucker seen him. When you look at the video, here he was, crawling toward the highway. So we're so thankful for this trucker that seen this baby this morning and immediately pulled over on the side of the road and contacted 911.
This all started with the discovery of the child's 4-year-old brother who was found dead in a body of water near the Vinton Welcome Center. The child's mother was arrested for failing to report a missing child. That's when they realized that the 1-year-old was also missing. A search began and ended with that truck driver's phone call to 911. An investigation into what happened continues and more charges are likely. OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, has cited a tanker cleaning company out of Texas following several safety violations. The agency says at least 3 employees of Quala Services were killed on the job since 2019 while cleaning tankers used to transport hazardous materials. OSHA says the company chose to disregard federal safety standards that may have protected their employees from hazardous working conditions and prevented the deaths. Numerous citations were issued, and Quala faces fines in excess of $800,000. The state of Illinois will soon allow CDL applicants to take the written test in Spanish. The Illinois Secretary of State said testing standards and CDL requirements will not be changed by the Spanish translation, and that applicants must satisfy all permitting and training requirements before a CDL is issued. More than 20 other states already offer CDL testing in Spanish. As for the why, the Illinois Secretary of State said the Spanish language offering will improve accessibility and, quote, address truck and school bus driver shortages, end quote. OOIDA has long refuted the notion of there being a driver shortage. The association says the data, numbers, and statistics all point to a retention problem above all else. And finally, the Commercial Vehicle Safety Alliance has released the results of its Human Trafficking Awareness Initiative event that took place in March. Over 5 days throughout North America, CVSA says partners in 51 jurisdictions were active in raising awareness about human trafficking and training people on what to look for and what to do when a victim of human trafficking has been identified. Tens of thousands of wallet cards, window decals, and posters were also handed out, along with hundreds of human trafficking outreach events and presentations. CVSA's Human Trafficking Prevention Program seeks to eliminate the crime of human trafficking through coordinated enforcement and investigations and educational awareness. That's Landline Now News for today. I'm Scott Thompson.
Thanks, Scott. You can write a letter to your elected officials in Congress or look up contact information for lawmakers who represent you on the state and federal level by using the website fightingfortruckers.com. Again, that website, fightingfortruckers.com. Next, I'll discuss when FMCSA may act on speed limiters, automatic emergency braking, and broker transparency with OOIDA's Jay Grimes. Ashley Blackford talks with 2 members of the St. Christopher's Fund Drivers Council, and Marty Ellis tells us what truckers are thinking about having trainers back in the bunk. We'll be back in just a moment with more of the program. I'm Mark Reddick, and this is Landline Now.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe. If you want more content, go to landline.media to get updated news, information, and archived editions of our show. Once again, that's landline.media.
Capital Reman is your leading source for quality remanufactured engines and components. Capital Reman stands ready to serve all OOIDA members to help reduce costly engine repairs or replacement. Visit capitalreman.com today and use code OOIDA10 to save.
ULSD is hurting your engine. Fight back with Howe's Diesel Defender. Get the most powerful cleaning and maximum lubricity to protect and extend the life of your entire system. At a guaranteed increase in fuel economy, and you can't go wrong with Howe's.
Dispatch, I picked up that load of steel, so I'm ready to roll.
Sounds good. Remember, we're getting paid by weight, so make sure to use a CAT scale.
I wouldn't weigh anywhere else.
Forget misaccuracy when you're truck on a CAT scale.
It's tested and proven. Burn 2.1% less fuel when you balance all wheel ends with Centromatic. Call 800-523-8473 to get the OOIDA discount.
Several times a year, the White House puts out a document called the Unified Regulatory Agenda. And that doesn't sound too exciting until you realize that this document tells you when various federal agencies plan to act on proposed regulations, covering topics such as speed limiters, automatic emergency braking, and broker transparency. And in fact, all those issues are covered in the latest version of the agenda, which is out now. Welcome back to Landline Now. This is Regulatory Roundup, and I'm Mark Reddig. I'm joined, as always, by OOIDA Director of Federal Affairs, Jay Grimes. Jay, thanks for joining me.
Good to be with you.
Glad to have you here, too. Let's go ahead and tackle these issues one at a time,
Sure.
and they're obviously all hot buttons. But before we get into what's happening here, I'm wondering if you can very briefly review where we were on speed limiters and a possible requirement kind of up until now.
Yeah, so kind of going back to, I think, April 2022 when revised speed limiter proposal sort of came out of the blue from FMCSA and really opened up a lot of drivers' eyes and certainly kicked us into gear at OOIDA and into fighting back against any potential mandate. There was a comment period, and since then we've kind of been waiting to hear from which direction FMCSA was going to go. There have been a number of estimated timelines and projections that kind of keep getting delayed, and that once again is the case in the latest regulatory agenda.
Yeah, I think they delayed it twice in 2023, once already in 2024. Why does this keep getting pushed back?
Yeah, I think it's a result of all the opposition that was raised in the public comment period. Certainly, I think some of the legislative push that is taking place in Congress with the Drive Act that would specifically prevent FMCSA from moving forward with any mandate. So that seems to be the reason for the delay. Maybe they're having second thoughts. Maybe they want to go in a different direction. I think now that we've gotten kind of this close to a potential transition in administration one way or another, I think based on the evidence on the speed limiter rulemaking and some others, whole lot of things that were, perhaps in the pipeline are now getting pushed back to next year.
You mentioned that public comment period from one of their previous proposed rulemakings on this, and I recall that really brought in just over 10,000. What was it, 16?
Yeah, close to 16,000
comments from people.
And vast majority of those coming from drivers opposed to any mandate. So I think that really kind of opened up perhaps the FMCSA leadership at the time to some of the pushback against speed limiters, and maybe they were moving a little too soon and weren't expecting such the opposition. But given the safety and operational concerns that a speed limiter mandate on heavy trucks would have throughout the nation, throughout all different sorts of highways in different states where could see as much as a 20-mile-an-hour difference between what the speed limit is on the road and what trucks could be limited to travel. A whole host of problems that we've raised throughout the years and continue to raise both in Congress and with FMCSA and DOT. So I think that this latest update I don't think is a major surprise, kind of given what we've seen over the last couple of years. But the more and more they wait, I think that's a hopeful sign that this thing will never get off the ground.
the agency has indicated before that it is going to set a top speed. And I know there's a lot of groups pushing for various top speeds, and I think this is something that really interests and maybe angers some truckers. What are some of the groups that are pushing for, or what speeds are some of these groups pushing for, I guess?
Yeah, on the safety advocate side, their number is 60, going back to 2016 when this was really first subsequently proposed from the agencies. They threw out, I think, 63, 65, 68. The American Trucking Association, representing large carriers, who has kind of gone in a whole lot of different directions when it comes to speed limiters. I think their latest position is that it could be an adaptive speed depending on different technologies you had installed on the truck. So that could be anything from 65, 70, 75. So a whole host of varying speeds, but I don't think anything that makes us feel comfortable with any sort of mandate. That's why we've always been consistently opposed, consistently leading opposition through the speed limiter mandate, through a coalition that we've built over the past few years, and kind of continue to see that coalition build support with lawmakers since that DRIVE Act was introduced a little more than a year ago.
And that's one legislative attempt to put a stop to this. There's another one going on right now.
That's right. So the House this week is taking up action on the committee level, the Appropriations Committee, on the fiscal year 2025 Transportation and Housing and Urban Development Bill. There is a provision in that committee text that would ban FMCSA, block FMCSA from moving forward, not having any funds to advance a speed limiter mandate. So we've been supportive of that effort as well. That was included in last year's committee version of the bill. Want to see that get enacted on the House floor this time around. Still a few steps in the legislative process to go on the appropriations side. House is moving at the committee level this week. Senate still is yet to start on that side. So kind of want to do as much as we can to make sure, whether it's the standalone DRIVE Act or this appropriations provision, just to kind of give us the most hope against FMCSA looking to advance a speed limiter rulemaking. The update now is, I think, May of 2025 next year. So who knows where we'll be at that point.
Okay. Another item on the unified regulatory agenda involves automatic emergency braking systems. What does the agenda tell us about that effort by FMCSA?
Yeah, another one where we're kind of, I think, glad to see a delay in what we were anticipating from FMCSA and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration on an automatic emergency braking system mandate for heavy trucks. And this rulemaking, was required by Congress in the 2021 Infrastructure Investment of Jobs Act. There was one separate rulemaking for AEBs on heavy trucks, and then one separate rulemaking for light and medium duty vehicles. NHTSA has already finalized the rule for light and medium duty. Last year, they came out with a proposed rulemaking on the heavy duty side, and that rulemaking, we thought, fell very short of ensuring that AEB systems would work as intended whenever a mandate would go into effect. And, as part of the shortcomings for that proposal, NHTSA did not do what we thought was required outreach to drivers who have had previous AEB experience. That was not reflected in the proposal. That was one of the reasons we thought it was kind of woefully inadequate. And, the last update we heard was that the final rule on the heavy-duty side would be out in April of this year. That obviously has kind of come and went. And the latest update we have is now that the final rule is projected to be out in January of 2025. And I think that's a positive sign that NHTSA FMCSA is perhaps going a little back to the drawing board on this to maybe hopefully try and tie up a lot of the loose ends and holes that were in the proposal to make sure that, 4 or 5 years down the line, whenever the AEB mandate would go into effect, that the false activations are sufficiently addressed and the technology can work the way it's intended and in a reliable manner.
You mentioned those false activations, and of course, NHTSA has been investigating a problem with some of these systems.
That's right.
Can you just tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So after that proposed rulemaking last year, NHTSA actually opened up an investigation into quite a few vehicles with AEB that were on the roads right now after they heard sufficient feedback about false activations that were taking place. That investigation from NHTSA is ongoing, and that could may be another reason why this rulemaking has been delayed till early next year. So waiting for the results on that. Hopefully waiting for some, more sufficient testing protocols to be established in any final rulemaking on the commercial side. So, glad to see NHTSA's, doing some more due diligence, taking some more time. Hopefully part of this process will be direct outreach with drivers who, have had AEB experience as well.
We just have a little bit of time left here. There is another hot button issue on the unified regulatory agenda, broker transparency, a big one to a lot of folks out there. Why is the agency looking into that topic?
Yeah, this was, prompted by a petition from OOIDA back in 2020, really to kind of promote broker transparency in light of the fact that broker transparency regulations, which are on the books right now with 371.3, which are intended to give motor carriers access to transactional records, but really have never been enforced. Our petition asked to require brokers to automatically provide an electronic copy of each transaction record within 48 hours, and also to explicitly prohibit brokers from including any provision that requires carriers to waive their rights to access transaction records. And FMCSA had a couple of different public comment periods on our petition. An opposing petition from the Transportation Intermediaries Association that would eliminate any broker transparency regulations. Last year, FMCSA, made some rulings. They denied the TIA petition, and they didn't, exactly grant the petition that we had filed, but did announce they would move forward with a broker transparency rulemaking. Now, unfortunately, they are taking their time in coming out with this pending broker transparency rulemaking action. Initially, we thought it was going to be June of last year. They kind of quickly came out and said, no, that was just a clerical error, and have, since, maintained the October 2024 date. And that is, still the same in this updated regulatory agenda. So still kind of hopeful that FMCSA will have a broker transparency proposal by October of 2024 this year. We've heard a lot from the agency about how they're prioritizing and addressing escalating freight fraud, broker fraud that continues to plague the trucking industry. So knock on wood that FMCSA is going to keep their word on this one and get this out later this year.
Just about a minute left here, Jay. I know there is another proposal waiting in the wings on broker fraud. Do we have any idea in terms of when the agency plans to propose something on that?
I think we got an update, and as fighting broker fraud, one aspect of this is going to be to update their unified registration system, which FMCSA has been working on for a number of years. We are expecting another proposal, a formal rulemaking proposal later this year. There's a lot of things that FMCSA is about to launch that don't require rulemaking, so they're kind of working at it on both sides, but again, continues to be a priority from FMCSA to really push back the freight fraud that's costing the industry so much time and money.
Excellent. Jay, thank you very much for all the information.
Thank you.
I've been talking with OOIDA Director of Federal Affairs, Jay Grimes. We'll be back in just a moment. I'm Mark Reddick, and this is Landline Now.
Every year, 28 million people are trafficked globally. The Your Roads, Their Freedom campaign seeks to raise awareness in the transport industry. Truck and bus drivers, be vigilant on the roads. If you see something suspicious, text 233-733 or be free.
Truckdown.com. Whenever you have a breakdown, you need Truckdown.com. 24/7 access to 40,000 verified heavy-duty repair vendors nationwide. Less weight, more freight. Truckdown.com.
Firestone tires are for more of everything, with more durability for more miles and more confidence in your fleet. Firestone's tested tires help fleets save with value where it matters most. Learn more at bridgestonenationalfleet.com/4moremiles.
Landline Now, welcome back. The St. Christopher Truckers Relief Fund is a nationwide charity that helps truck drivers and their families in times of need like illness or injury. Ingrid Brown is one of the members of the Driver Ambassador Council for St. Christopher's, a group of truck drivers that represents the charity and gives an inside look at the trucking industry. She joins me now. Ingrid, what is it you do in the trucking industry?
I am a driver. I have been an independent owner-operator up until a year and a half ago, and then I'm a company driver now. I also work with numerous charities, very active in the industry overall. Yeah, a little bit of everything, or a whole lot.
How long have you been in the trucking industry?
45 years.
45 years, wow. What was it that got you into it?
I grew up in a large road construction company and learned to drive and run equipment and that kind of thing. And I just love the people in the country of, going to different places and cultures. And
Nice. Now, when did you first get involved with the St. Christopher's Fund?
I've known about them, of course, from the very beginning, and of course, doing donations at when TA Petro would do the bracelet buys, or you would buy $1 for one of the little signs that they'd put your name on for a donation, and they'd hang them all up. And got involved with it really, really heavy then, and really loving the cause and the mission. And then I met Shannon several years ago, career, and she told me all about the mission and what exactly they do, and I really got the in-depth information, and was then again drawn really hard. And then I also got melanoma cancer and have had several surgeries, and I'm doing infusions now as well. And back last August, I had to come off the road. My bone marrow, multiple myeloma, I'd broken a rib. So I came off the road for 6 months, and I went to St. Christopher in August, and they were there for me. That's pretty much of a quick term how I got involved with them.
Wow. So you know firsthand how helpful they have been.
Oh my gosh, yes, because I'm a single income earner. I have nobody. It's me, my home, nobody. When I go home, it's just me. When I'm in the truck, it's just me. So every single thing, my life, I have to depend upon my income. When you start this journey in 2017 and you have a quarter of your throat taken out in 18, and you have several other happenings, and then this hit, this is the longest I've had to be out and the most detrimental of my income of, what do you do? And yeah, I definitely know how this works even more.
And for any of our listeners who might not be aware, what is the St. Christopher's Fund? Are you able to explain it to me?
St. Christopher's Fund is a organization, an associate. I guess you say organization because they are a 501c3, and which is a charity, and they by donations help people like myself and other people who have medical situations arise for drivers, and also I believe, and I don't really want to misquote, I believe it covers the spouse as well as for the driver to be home with that spouse in cancer situations or whatever. You fill out an application, you go through the processing, and they look at your medical records or look at the situation, and they approve you based on to help you with utilities like light bill, water bill, insurance, your home, a car, and they pay directly to that, not to you. And so therefore to help you out so that you keep a roof over your head and a way to get to the doctor, or insurance to get to the doctor, to keep you, on your insurance. Of course, it's all done through donations of sponsors. And I don't know if sponsors would be the right word either. The donations that come in from individuals and companies and corporations that provide for ones like myself to keep us literally to where we have a place to live and lights on and get back into the medical. You know, it's so basic in a lot of ways that they're there to make sure that you're taken care of and you have the necessities that you need.
Now, you are part of the driver council with the St. Christopher's Fund. Can you talk to me about what that is?
I am. I was chosen and placed on the driver council a few years back. And what we do is we have calls and we work like at mass at the silent auction, or we try to help at any events they're at to, you know, tell our stories or explain what they do, and that they, honest to goodness, are right there for you the minute it happens. You just have to reach out. And we, you know, we give our suggestions, or we are a sounding board for the board and for the staff, and they utilize us if they are thinking of new ideas. And how would that, you know, would we take part in that if we were a driver and needed a, whether it's the diabetes, whether it's the weight loss, whether it's stop smoking, whether it's, you know, some of the guys have done that and been very successful, you know. So there's other programs than just donating and people keeping the lights on and a roof over the head, as I say. There's so many other, the healthy habits, the stop smoking, the, you know, these kind of programs that are free to drivers. So supporting that kind of thing that is going to make me healthier and hopefully anybody else out here healthier was my reason for. And it's just a solid, honest, great organization, and the people are amazing. Some I've known for years, and some that you know, I've become friends with due to the organization. Watch them have as much passion for drivers and helping others, and I mean, how can you say no to something like that?
What is it like when you first hear of a situation where a truck driver's out of work, struggling to make ends meet, and then the St. Christopher's Fund is able to kind of come in and help turn the situation around? What is that like?
My cup runneth over. And I say that because I know the feeling. I know the feeling when you get a sigh of relief saying, hey, don't worry about your lights getting cut off this month. You've been approved, and we're give us the address to where to send the check. When you're the driver in that mode, it's a panic mode. And I can only imagine when you have a wife and children and everybody's dependent upon your income and now you don't have it. And I do know what it feels like for that relief to be given. So when I hear of it, I can't say that there's not anything that can touch my soul any more than that.
Can you talk to me a little bit about the generosity that's in the trucking industry? I don't know if people from the outside looking in realize just how generous truck drivers can be.
I know I couldn't even give you a number of the number of drivers that, even if it's just $1 or $5 a month, that donate because they know they're helping somebody. They can be in that situation as well as themselves. But we're so tight knit, and people say that it's changed. It hasn't changed. People still need people, and people still see that, you know, we're the only ones that can depend upon ourselves in reality right here on this road, right here today. Whether you're sitting in the middle of Montana and there's not a building in sight, we do know we have each other. And I have no doubt that I can't reach out to a complete stranger anywhere I'm at. And I hope anybody that ever meets me or knows me or even listens to this and knows that anybody can reach out to me as well. But the generosity, that's where it lies. It just lies within. There's something in every driver that they're a giver. Their time, their $1, $5, $10, or just even giving their ear. There's something about every driver that you'll ever meet. And the more you talk to, you'll find it in every single one of them.
All right. Is there anything else you want to add that I may have missed?
Other than if you don't know about St. Christopher, please find out about it. Because someday every single person that drives a truck will need help in some way. And if it is a medical, St. Christopher's the one that you really want to reach out to, because you don't ever have to be embarrassed. You don't ever have to feel like, everybody just already assumes they're going to say no or this kind of thing. Reach out, because you're not going to find more helpful people anywhere in this industry, anywhere, than St. Christopher's been and how they are. And also give that $1 and $5. You're helping another driver.
That was Ingrid Brown talking about the St. Christopher's Truckers Relief Fund. Bruce Richard joins me now. He has been a truck driver for nearly 30 years. He sits on the Driver Ambassador Council for St. Christopher's and knows firsthand just how helpful the fund can be.
Actually, I've always been, ever since they started, I've been a supporter. And then back in 2014, my wife had a major accident, and she couldn't walk for 5 months. And I stayed home, and we applied for the St. Christopher's Fund, and they came and helped us out. And ever since then, I've been giving back to them, helping them at the auctions, and that's where it all started.
So you really experienced firsthand, just how helpful the St. Christopher's Fund is.
Yes, I did.
Why? So how long have you're on the driver council. How long have you been on the council?
Ever since they started it.
Why was it so important to be involved?
To give back to the drivers, to inform the drivers that, there's things out there that can help them if they need it, and let them know that, there's people out there that are willing to help drivers that want to do different, quit smoking, for instance, doing the colon cancer checks, and all the different things that they offer. I'm lucky that I'm a company driver. I do have insurance. I know a lot of drivers out there that don't. And I've experienced firsthand what that oh damn moment is when something just out of the blue comes up and bites you.
What has it been like, being on the council and first hearing of a situation of a truck driver or his family in need, and the St. Christopher's Fund being able to see that through and help them? What has that been like for you?
To me, it makes me feel good that I can help someone else out, because I've always been that type of person to help somebody, willing to help, go the extra mile for somebody to help them out in need. So it makes me feel good that I can do this. And I know a lot of people that I've talked to. I've had people call me, hey, what's it all about? And I explain to them, and they say, that's great. I didn't know something like that existed. So it makes me feel good.
That was Bruce Richard talking about the St. Christopher Truckers Relief Fund. Since it began, the fund has helped nearly 4,000 truckers. For a link to an application to apply for the fund, you can visit truckersfund.org. There, you can also see if you're eligible to apply. Another thing the St. Christopher Truckers Relief Fund offers is resources for drivers. On the website, you can find links to websites for everything from general assistance to health issues, dental, hearing, mental health, and much more. You can also make a donation on the website, truckersfund.org. If you're stopping at a TA Petro anytime this month, you will have the opportunity to round up your purchase to the nearest dollar. The extra change will go to the fund. The Roundup campaign began back in May and goes until July 31st. Last year's campaign raised more than $150,000. Again, for more information, you can visit truckersfund.org. For Landline Now, I'm Ashley Blackford. Stay tuned for more after this.
Today's rising costs affect everyone. Replace your harmonic damper with a genuine VibraTech TVD viscous damper to prevent costly repairs and downtime. Keep your money in your pocket and your truck on the road with VibraTech TVD. Recommended replacement at 500,000 miles or 15,000 hours.
Ready to make more money? Use a better load board. For a limited time, get 50% off Truckstop Loadboard Pro. Just go to truckstop.com/go and enter promo code READY2024 when you purchase Loadboard Pro.
Are you tired of the IRS following you around like a dark cloud? Call 888-557-4020 and get your life back.
Since you started, what you've loved about trucking is the freedom. Heading out on your favorite route, a good driving song, and thinking about truck insurance. Well, maybe not that last one. That's why we're here. At OOIDA, we have a full range of truck insurance products, expert advice, and great customer service, helping you get the right coverage for your operation. Go to OOIDA.com because your job is to drive. Our job is to help with everything else.
Landline Now. Welcome back. Every week, we check in with Marty Ellis, who drives OOIDA's tour truck, the Spirit of the American Trucker. Many of you will be familiar with this story. It involves large carriers who have commercial learner's permit holders in a truck with a trainer. Some of those carriers don't want that trainer in the jump seat, and FMCSA has said, go ahead. After a few words about his latest truck show, Marty has a few words on that subject.
Carolina west to Denver, up to Bangor, west to Austin, coast to coast, sea to sea, sail on, sail on.
Well, hey, Marty, how are you doing?
I am lovely, Mark, and you?
I'm doing great. And I hear you're up at a pretty fun event right now.
Yeah, the Walcott Jamboree. I was just reading an article where it showed it's their 45th Jamboree and the 60th year in business. So a couple big years for them, and I hadn't really thought that their Jamboree had been going on that long, but I guess it has. And of course, it's one of those very family-friendly places, and it's not one of those really big shows like the Mid-America Truck Show, but it's small enough to see in a day, but big enough to still have some fun.
I've been to that one before, and it is a lot of fun, and it is manageable in size. That's kind of nice. So it has a little bit more of a community feel to it because of that.
Yeah, so it'll be the 11th through the 13th here at Walcott, Iowa. And so it's a lot of guys will try to time it to where they can come through and even spend a couple hours and then head down the road if that's what they need to do. And, of course, we got some cool-looking show trucks and, of course, vendors out here. And, of course, inside there, the regular truck stop, they always have specials on all their chrome shop stuff inside. And it's one of the biggest chrome shops out here as far as in a truck stop.
All right. Well, I know that you've also got on your schedule here a trip to St. Louis. Can you explain to folks where you're going there and what you're going there for?
Yeah, it's I don't tell the boss, but there are a lot of times that I get to do a lot of cool stuff, and this will be one of them. Of course, here at Walcott, it's another fun time. It's another cool place to be. I get to drive a awesome looking truck and trailer around, so. This will be another one of those things where the Veterans Community Project, they have the one there in Kansas City, and they have this one over in St. Louis. They have a couple other locations. I believe it's Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and Longmont, Colorado, if I remember right. And with the donations that are raised during the Truckers for Troops events, this year, we'll end up having two of them, which is great. And some of that money is used to put together some care packages for the guys that are living at the Veterans Community Projects, which are a bunch of little tiny homes. And it's one of the kind of unique things, and I know we've done stories on it, that the vets that end up in those tiny houses can actually bring their pets with, and which means a lot to a lot of people.
Yeah, there's very few places, I think, that are doing quite as good a job of helping homeless veterans as the Veterans Community Project. They really are doing fantastic work, and it's it's kind of nice to be part of something that's supporting that.
Yeah, yep. And, it's a way, we've done the toy drive before, and, what we do is a small part of it. But it's just kind of neat to be able to be part of that. And I can't wait to go check out their campus over there. And we'll do that on our way over to our next truck show, which will be the Top Gun Large Car Shootout in Rantoul, Illinois. And that's their 17th annual truck show. And that's the 26th through the 28th of July.
Okay. Well, let's talk about some of the issues that are coming up at the truck. And one of the things that I know is on your list, and it's one that I hear a lot about too, is this whole thing where they're letting some carriers let commercial learner's permit holders drive the truck while their trainer, and I put that in air quotes, is back in the bunk, which just seems, I'm just going to say wackadoodle to me. But what are you hearing from truckers about this?
Yeah, it's been brought up in the trailer a lot lately about the lack of substantial training out here on the road. And for the drivers, the newer drivers coming into the industry, not necessarily younger, but newer. And one of the things we had discussed is a lot of these companies are wanting exemptions already from the bare bones minimum requirements for training people. And one of those exemptions would be to have that trainer right in the seat next to you. And I don't know about you, but I really want to meet some of these trainers. If they're good enough to be able to train while they're in the bunk, I'd love to pick their brain. I want to know how they do it. I want to know their whole experience, because I'd love to learn to be able to do that. I've never been able to do that myself. I have trained a few drivers, and boy, if I could train them when I'm sleeping, life would be good.
Yeah, sleepwalking is one thing. This sounds a little bit more advanced.
Yeah, it does. And so many times, the new guys out here don't get trained on so many things, whether it's truck stop etiquette, shipper and receiver etiquette, on the road etiquette. And, it's kind of, some of us that have been out here so long, we kind of take it for granted that people should know. And some of the people that are coming into the industry now, I think they have a different mindset on a lot of things, and too often it's all about them and not understanding that this is kind of a team sport. Everything that I do affects other drivers out here, and vice versa. Everything they do affects me out here, and so I think if we could all understand that and get that wrapped up in our head, that, hey, we do have to work together to make this whole system work and to make it as safe as possible, and yet still get the job done, still get people home. We still want to get everybody home safe. And that's why, a lot of people think that truck driving, it's just so easy. All you do is drive. Well, no, most of our time driving trucks out here is trying to make sure everybody around you is safe. And a lot of people don't quite understand that concept.
Yeah, I think there's, and we've talked about this before, but there really are a lot of misconceptions among the general public about what's involved in the trucking industry and being a truck driver. And it is a hard job. And I think far too many people don't get that. And it's funny because, boy, during the pandemic, they sure seemed to get it. But all of a sudden now it's like, well, we're back to where we were before.
Yeah, not only back before, but I think even worse, they not only totally forgot that we were kind of heroes when we were out there driving, at least that's what they were calling us, but they've kind of gone way beyond, and it's like we're more in the way than we have ever been. And even the people in some of the trucking companies don't realize what the driver actually has to go through out here on the road to make it work for everybody.
Okay. Well, Marty, I hate to say it, we're out of time here. Do you have any final words before you ride off into the sunset?
Hey, guys, it's truck show season. Try to grab a truck show to go to when you can. And don't forget, be kind to one another and give that guy next to you a break.
Brothers of the highway, children of the wind,
Once again, that was Marty Ellis, who drives OOIDA's tour truck, The Spirit of the American Trucker. You can find Marty's next stop on our show and every day at our website, landlinenow.com. That's our program for today. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow with more. I'm Mark Reddick, and this is Landline Now.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe. If you want more content, go to landline.media to get updated news, information, and archived editions of our show. Once again, that's landline.media.
Penske owns and operates some of the best-maintained vehicles on the planet. Our used trucks come with a 5-year maintenance report and pre-sale inspection. So if you're in the market for a top-quality pre-owned truck, look no further. Search our inventory today at PenskeUsedTrucks.com.
Control your toll costs and eliminate tolling headaches with Prepass Tolls. Prepass Tolls means toll volume discounts. Just one invoice for all tolls and fewer violations. Call 877-878-5970 or go to prepass.com.
I'm a dad,
a son,
a husband,
wife.
I'm a writer,
photographer.
I farm.
I'm a veteran.
I love old cars, fishing,
my kids,
chrome,
and I am
a professional truck driver.
And together we are OOIDA.
OOIDA was founded by truckers to stand up and speak on behalf of truckers. We've done that by combining the individual voices of our members into a single, powerful voice. Protecting your interests, defending your rights.
Join us!
Make your voice heard. Join OOIDA, the Owner-Operator Independent Drivers Association. Call 1-800-444-5791 or visit OOIDA.com.